today's adventure is the Huntington Broad Top Railroad. We're going out to ride the rail trail that it was a section of 12.5 miles on the Huntington Broad Top Railroad. And the Huntington Broad Top Railroad ran from Broad Top in Huntington to Saxton, then Saxton to Riddlesburg, and the rail trails from Riddlesburg to Everett. So we're looking forward to this adventure, and we're going to see some history along the way. We're at the Huntington Broad Top Rail Tread here in Everett, and we are going to get ready for our bike ride. Here's the old train abutment that the Huntington Broad Top Railroad came across here, and it would have crossed over right here. Pretty awesome. Riding along the Huntington Broad Top Rail Trail, and we are, in Tatesville, heading towards Hopewell. Nice trail, easy to ride. It's not too bad. I always enjoy seeing how they cut through these ridges and mountains to get their rail tracks through the through the mountain. A lot of dynamite and digging to get through here. The Huntington Broad Top Railroad started in East Broad Top, right inside Huntington County, and that opened up around 1855. And the section from Saxton to Riddlesburg and then Riddlesburg to Everett, I believe, was opened up in about 1864. Nice little pond here along the rail trail. Hey, Nathaniel.
It's cold.
The reason why they built the Huntington Broad Top Railroad was because the East Broad Top and Huntington County was a very big region of coal mining, and getting the coal out of that region, they required a railroad. And once they opened up the railroad, production flourished at the coal mines. So this is a very important railroad for transporting coal and other goods, materials. We are on the trail, getting closer to Hopewell. We're coming up to Cipher Beach. Like I said, this road was used to transport a lot of coal out of the Broad Top area, Saxton area, and they even did a lot of iron ore. And this area of railroad was very busy during the industrial times. And sadly, after the industry died here and the region, they pulled the tracks, and that would be it for the railroad here in Huntington Broad Top. But it's definitely a nice rail trail to enjoy today. Good job, Levi. Here comes Mom. Nathaniel. The Huntington Broad Top Rail Trail, it's pretty easy to ride. It's very smooth and comfortable. It's not, it's a decent grade, so it's not, you're not too worn out riding it. So I recommend it to anybody. It's definitely a nice trail. Okay, I noticed something along the section. We're pretty close to Cipher Beach, heading towards Hopewell, and I noticed coming through there was a cut off to the right, like a road. I'm not sure if this is a small little section of railroad they put in here, or just a road. Maybe there's some industry here. There's a clearing over here, which looks like there might have been some structures over here, and I'm just curious what might have sat here. There's a small cut down in here, and some, looks like some foundation stone, and then you can see a couple of different levels up in here. So it looks like at one point this was some kind of operation or house or structures. So if anyone knows in the comments, you know, let me know. Okay, Lucas, what did you find here?
I found slag right here.
Slag.
And I also found slag.
Nice. Along the rail bed you'll find slag and coal. This is waste rock from the iron furnaces, and it made its way up the rail beds, transporting it or filling in along the rail beds. But you find lots of coal and slag along the way.
And it gave us boost for our toy money.
Some old houses along the trail here. I'm not sure how old these are. They look pretty old. Came to this nice restored trestle bridge that was once used to cross the river here. And you can see the old stonework there. It's pretty high up here. So very nice restored bridge for the rail trail. Beautiful Bedford County. Just check out this old trestle here. Okay, you got the original steel trestle, you know, and this steel is probably made in Pittsburgh, and you got all the good, you know, stone work up here holding the train up, and you got the new top layer of concrete modified for the rail trail. But all across America and the railroads, you'll find thousands of these trestles, you know, that were built to get the railroads across the rivers. And, you know, this is just true industrial revolution history from the steel industry. So a lot of good steel in there and a lot of hard work. Here's the Raystown branch of the Juniata River. This flows up until into Saxon and Raystown. Beautiful river. A lot of people fish down here and kayak. It's a beautiful spot for people to come enjoy. So just beautiful setting here, right along the rail trail. If you're a parent, you can definitely find some humor in that. Marker 5. Almost halfway there. Levi and I are taking a little walk and just taking a quick little break. Beautiful section of the trail. Nice rhododendrons. Good gravel trail here. Makes for a very easy ride. We're at mile marker 6. Good spot for some lunch. Yeah. Nice little spring coming down off the mountain. Standing along some kind of ruins here along the rail trail. There's our creek over here, and we have some kind of old structure here. Not sure what it was. Any ideas, let me know. Mile marker 7. I think we're just about into Hopewell here. I noticed we're in Broad Top Township here, and a good part of the trail goes back into a public road here, so down here, we'll probably get back into the old rail bed. Made it to mile marker 8. We are finally in Hopewell. So a couple more miles and we'll be back in Riddlesburg. We're at the Keystone Foundry here, and a foundry is where they would take pig iron from the iron furnaces, and they would heat up the pig iron and make very hot liquid iron again, and then they would put it in molds, or they would fabricate different parts and equipment, and they would make all sorts of stuff out of iron. So forges and foundries were a big part of the iron industry, and this is where they would bring the pig iron to make products to sell for all sorts of uses. So this says 1857. Pretty cool. Okay, so we came through Riddlesburg. Oh, sorry, we came through Hopewell, and we are heading to Riddlesburg. So I believe this is the last section of the trail. It might be another 3 or 4 miles to Riddlesburg, and they're opening up a new section right now from Riddlesburg to Saxton at Boyers Pass State Park, which I think they're still working on currently. So we'll stop in Riddlesburg. So been a fun ride so far. Let's go check out the last section of it. Nice little duck family, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty cool, huh?
It's like cousins and brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
and moms and dads.
something like that.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting stone down here in this area. Here we are at a neat spot on the trail. This is the Riddlesburg slag pile, and this is the dump where they dumped all the waste from the iron furnace. So they would put the coke in the furnace, the iron ore, and the limestone, and this would be all the impurities pulled out during the smelting process. And you can see here's an old piece of iron. It's pretty brittle, and some slag, but it's all the impurities during the blasting and the smelting of the iron. So they have these massive piles just of waste. I mean, just massive. It's pretty awesome. Okay, we're coming to the end of our ride. We hit Riddlesburg. It was about, say, 11 to 12 miles on this ride from Everett. It's pretty nice. And this is where the trail stops, but this trailhead will eventually take you over to Saxton. They're actually working on finishing another 2-mile section to Saxton, which will be very nice. So, okay, this is the beginning of the end of the rail trail for us. We came from Everett to Riddlesburg, and this is a cool sign right here. It showed the former Riddlesburg Railroad Depot would have been right here along the tracks. So it's kind of neat. And like I said, it says that the peak of the railroads, it would stretch from Huntington all the way to Cumberland. So it was pretty busy railroad. They had most of their operations with coal mining and iron making along this railroad, but they did do passengers and everything. Right over here, if you look in this field, and I'll show you a picture, it's the former Riddlesburg iron furnace. It would have sat right in here, and this was a massive iron furnace site that operated up until I believe about 1929, which was a very late iron furnace for the time frame. A lot of the iron furnaces shut down in the 1800s. Along the Broad Top Railroad, the iron furnaces lasted the longest in Pennsylvania. We had Rock Hill, we had Saxton, we had Bedford, we had Riddlesburg, and we had the one in Everett. And the Huntington Broad Top Railroad, between the iron ore mining and the coal mining along Tussey Mountain and Broad Top, this railroad kept the iron industry going till about the 30s. And that was pretty much unheard of in Pennsylvania. So just a neat piece of history here. So we're here on Tussey Mountain, on the Henrietta Mountain here, and this mountain from Riddlesburg to Huntington, on the mountaintops and lower on the ridge, they had what they said was over 200 underground mine shafts where they were getting iron ore. And looking down in this little dip in there, that was an entrance for an iron mine. And when they would look for iron, they would dig test holes. But beside the shafts, you always see these little holes that they were digging down to see what kind of rocks they had underneath the mountain here. So we always look for these, just a little impression in the ground where they were digging. The early geologists were looking for their, different minerals and rocks. There's another one down there. They were just digging, see what they could find, and when they found something good, or a good vein of iron ore, they would dig a mine shaft. When you see big piles of slag like that, I mean, that's a ton of slag. So they were dumping slag from the Riddlesburg iron furnace up there as well. And a big factor in the Riddlesburg iron furnace was the coke ovens in Riddlesburg. Modern iron furnaces after the 1850s switched to from charcoal to heat the furnaces to coke. Coke is burnt down coal. They would put coal inside these beehive ovens, and they would burn the coal down to a product that, this is coke right here, okay? And that's what they would use to heat the iron furnaces. And these brick wrap structures would make the coke. And the coke could be not only used at the Riddlesburg iron furnace, but they could sell this coke all over the state and wherever any other iron furnaces or steel furnaces needed coke. So Riddlesburg was very industrial with this site. Lots of original coke ovens, and these operated probably, I'm guessing, up until around the 30s. The iron furnace shut down, I think, in around 1930. Another thing about these coke ovens to understand is they didn't make lime in here. They didn't make iron. These weren't iron furnaces. They were strictly to make coke. So these coke ovens produce coke. Like I said, they would put coal inside the top, and they would take the coal for about 10 to 15 hours and burn it at 1,000 to 2,000 degrees and make this coke product. And this is such an easy, more efficient way to blast the iron furnaces. This is really interesting. You can see the outside of the kilns with the brick lining, and it's really neat. They obviously eroded where you can see the bricks. And back here is these massive piles of slag behind the township, and there is slag piles all over this area. I mean, just millions of tons of slag, and it's just crazy to see how much slag there was. Slag is a waste product from the iron furnace after the smelting. So after the impurities of making the iron was done, the slag would be the waste that they would extract from the furnaces, and they would just dump it. And they would dump from the top, and these big ledges of slag rock would just harden. And that just goes to show you how much slag is in this area from the iron making days. Here's the old Riddlesburg post office. That's a pretty old building. And there's the big Raystown branch of the Juniata River, and we're here at the intersection of Riddlesburg. And this is, I believe, where the old iron furnace would have been. And this big field here would have been the Riddlesburg iron furnace that operated until 1929. And if you go down this way through that cut, take that would be the railroad, Huntington Broad Top Railroad, that would take towards Saxton. So there's a couple more miles you can ride here soon. That section of trail will be finished soon. Thanks a lot for coming on this ride with us. We really had a good time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great day. Hello, thanks for coming along with us on this adventure to the Huntington Broad Top Railroad. We had a great time with the family on this one. Check out Larry Smith's book, Bedford County, PA, 2 1/2 Centuries in the Making, published 2021. Larry does some incredible work, and he really goes into detail about the history of Bedford County. Check it out. Thank you, Larry.